That's the one thing about our audience. They always want a new guy to break through the glass ceiling.
All you have to do is just be real.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. I am the jabroni beating, pie eating, trailblazing, eyebrow raising, talking is done, you're out of your class, no sleep till Brooklyn, The Rock whips your ass. Woo!
I wish you and King would quit talking.
Welcome to Around the Ring, Episode 8 for Sunday, January 25th. I'm your host, Dave Brown. It is Royal Rumble weekend, the second biggest event in professional wrestling today, at least in America. This year's event is a bit of a lackluster card overall, but in all honesty, the only thing that really matters in the Royal Rumble is the Royal Rumble. But before we get into my prediction for tonight's pay-per-view, let's talk a little bit about Raw and SmackDown from this week. Both go-home shows did a good job setting up the Royal Rumble, WWE World Heavyweight title match, and the Rumble itself. Raw focused more on the title match with a surprisingly good opening segment featuring one very pissed-off Brock Lesnar. Eventually, all of the major players came out, and a match was set for John Cena against Kane, The Big Show, and Seth Rollins, with the stipulation that if Cena won, Ryback, Rowan, and Dolph Ziggler would get their jobs back. But if Superman lost, he would be out of the title match at the Rumble. The best part of this whole thing was Lesnar just going after everyone. He stormed out. He was pissed. He took the microphone from Paul Heyman and just went on a tirade. It was great. The show then ended in similar fashion with the handicap match, which ended thanks to an interruption by Sting and Cena getting a win via a distraction roll-up. Solid Monster will be proud. Then after Sting walks out, points angrily at Triple H, Brock Lesnar hits the ring and completely destroys both Kane and the Big Show in the process of trying to go after Rollins. Well, while Kane was picking up Big Show for the F5, Rollins and his security crew went running, looking like scared little girls. So this, these two segments really made me think that they're going to either have Paul Heyman turn on Lesnar and side with Rollins at the Rumble, or that Lesnar would do a straight-up face turn at the Rumble. Either could be really interesting, though I honestly like this tweener Lesnar that just comes out and goes after everyone. And that's how he should have been booked all along. And they really dropped the ball on this whole thing. Over on Wrestling Soup this week, Joey Numbers had an idea that Lesnar should have just come out and said things like, you're not worth my time fighting, and doing things like that, which would have been great. So, oh well, lost chances. This was the best use. This, aside from Lesnar just absolutely destroying John Cena at SummerSlam and the whole lead up to that, this was absolutely the best use of Brock Lesnar since he's been back. The only other thing really that stood out to me on Raw was the backstage segment with the Clique. We had Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and X-Pac, i.e. Sean Waltman, doing a little comedy moment, and there was a great bit where Triple H just hangs his head and says, "I'm so ashamed," talking about the show. But the best part about this is Damian Sandow comes out dressed completely as X-Pac, almost to the point where I didn't realize it wasn't X-Pac. It was gold. It was so funny. And then The Miz shows up and gets pissed, and he says, "This is my stunt double." Then on SmackDown, there was actually a segment backstage where Miz comes up to Mizdow, and they talk a little bit. Mizdow actually talks about that segment, and Mizdow just says he was, kind of starstruck type of thing, but obviously is getting really fed up with the Miz. The Usos then came out and told him, "Look, man, in the Rumble, it's every man for himself." So it was a nice little setup for the Miz Dow face turn, which will hopefully be happening soon because he's just too freaking awesome. So yeah, that was Raw. Yes, I just distilled a 3-hour program down into a 2-minute recap of the events that were the most important. Other things happened. I watched it on Hulu Plus, so I only had to suffer through an hour and a half. Those two segments, the opening and closing segments, were really, really good. If the show was like that every week, then we'd be fine. On SmackDown, the Rumble itself was the main focus, with 4 Royal Rumble qualifying matches. We had Dolph Ziggler versus Bad News Barrett, Eric Rowan against Luke Harper, Ryback versus Rusev, and Daniel Bryan versus Kane in the main event. Bryan came out in the opening segment, brought out Ziggler, Rowan, and Ryback. They all talked, which then brought out the Authority, which in this case was Kane, Seth Rollins, and The Big Show, and of course J&J Security. And they then set up those matches. And, it wasn't a bad opening segment. All 4 matches were pretty good. Rowan was the only one not qualifying for the Rumble. The Ziggler Barrett match was really good. The Ryback Rusev match ended in a countout, and so that's actually still setting up for a longer feud with these two. If that ends in WrestleMania, maybe those two of them having a match. In fact, the best thing would be they have a real good conflict during the Rumble itself. One of them eliminates the other. They have a match at Fastlane, which has kind of a screwy ending. And then at WrestleMania, they have a match with Ryback going over, taking the title from Rusev. Now, if that didn't work, if they still want to keep Rusev strong, you could have a really good match with eventually Rusev winning. The next night on Raw, maybe Rusev coming out and attacking John Cena. Or, as Solid Monster suggested, or someone on Solid Monster's Facebook group suggested, you have Rusev coming out talking trash, and then Baron Corbin's music hits, and he comes out and just destroys Rusev. That would be awesome. The only downside to that is I think Corbin still needs a little bit of time in NXT. Unlike guys like, Finn Balor, Hideo Itami, Sami Zayn, Adrian Neville, Kevin Owens, who don't need any time, who should be main eventing in the main roster right now. Baron Corbin's still pretty new, and he could use a little more time down there, I think. Plus, he's got a match coming up against Bull Dempsey, but we'll get into that when I talk about NXT here in a little bit. So the show ended with a really good brawl, which ended up having damn near the entire roster coming out and all fighting. The 2 last people to join the ring were Dean Ambrose. His music hit, the place went nuts. And then Roman Reigns' music hit, and the place went nuts. And they eventually clear the ring. It ends up, you've got a really good image. The last image of the show, which I loved, was Daniel Bryan, Dolph Ziggler, Ryback, Dean Ambrose, and Roman Reigns all in the ring standing tall, with Big Show and Kane on the apron talking smack at them. It was really good. And speaking of Mr. Reigns, he had a backstage interview with Renee Young. That was really, really good on this episode. In fact, it might have been the best that Reigns has ever sounded on the mic. That, combined with his just show up, kick ass, and don't talk moment on Raw from this week, makes me wonder if they, meaning him and WWE Creative, have finally found a way to find a good balance for his character. A lot of people have been harping on his lame promos, especially from the last few weeks with the nursery rhymes and the Superman talk and all that. But they honestly haven't bothered me all that much, simply because I thought his delivery of them was so much better than his delivery had been in the past. The Suffering Succotash from a couple weeks ago, awful. I mean, the writing, the words he had to say were awful, but he delivered that beautifully, and he made it look great. So there, maybe there's hope. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think he is ready just yet to be the guy, the main guy. You know, give him another 6 months, give him another year, and he'll get there. This guy has main event babyface written all over him. He's got the look. He has got the moves in the ring. Granted, people piss and moan about his 5 moves of doom, but, you know, really, in the last few weeks since he's come back from his injury, he's already showing more ability in the ring, other move variety, and who knows how they're booking him. A lot of the matches apparently are really micromanaged, so they might be telling him, okay, you can only do these moves, and if that's the case, then, you know, WWE is the one that's hampering this guy. And in fact, I think one thing that most wrestling fans will agree on is that the WWE is really not doing Roman Reigns any favors in the way that they're booking him, and they need to give him something just different needs to be done. And I'm kind of happy with what I saw on Raw and SmackDown this week, and if that's kind of the new direction we're going to go in with this guy, you know, I think that's good. I don't think he's there. I don't want to see him win the Rumble tonight. And if he does, I think that crowd in Philadelphia is going to dump on him probably worse than the crowd last year dumped on Batista. And that was bad. That whole last year's Royal Rumble, when Daniel Bryan never came out, it was so bad because the crowd so wanted Daniel Bryan to win. And in fact, I think had Daniel Bryan come out, Batista could have won, and it would have gone over better, but them not putting Bryan in at all was such a huge mistake. So we could run into that this year, which would, you know, obviously not be good. But this brings us to the actual pay-per-view itself, the Royal Rumble, and like I said earlier, the card is a bit, you know, it's lackluster, but that's okay for this event. Traditionally, this event is a 1 or 2 match show, and this year is no different. All the focus tonight will be on the Rumble itself and the WWE World Heavyweight Title triple threat match. But there are a few other matches before we can get to those too. So let's waste no more time. Here are my predictions. On the pre-show, we're going to get The New Day versus Cesaro, Tyson Kidd, and Adam Rose in an elimination tag team match. So I'm hoping, honestly, that at the end Cesaro is standing tall. Even though I like The New Day, and I know that they need a win because people are just not reacting to them well. I think I really want Cesaro to pull this one out. Cesaro is fantastic. He has been booked horribly. Tyson Kidd is also great. So if the two of them just ended up standing tall, that would be awesome. Also, we need to get The New Day some edge. These 3 guys, yeah, they're doing this happy-go-lucky thing, but they need to start getting pissed because they have been buried for a long time, and they need to get pissed about it. And you can still keep the New Day name, you can keep the same tights, but they need to start getting angry, and maybe not as much do the whole Nation of Domination thing, but they need to be 3 angry dudes who are just sick and tired of taking crap, and I think that would work better. But speaking of Cesaro, every time the Big Show has come out and run his mouth about people not being able to throw him over a top rope, I really think Cesaro should walk out and just remind the Giant of what happened at last year's WrestleMania. I think it would be awesome. Or just have him cut a promo saying, I've actually thrown you over a top rope, so you need to get off your high horse. That would be, that would be fun. But, of course, that would take intelligence and logic and confidence in the character, which obviously WWE does not have. Thank you, Vince McMahon, for screwing this one up. Okay, next up, we've got the New Age Outlaws versus the Ascension. I think the Ascension's probably going to go over here. I mean, the whole point of this match is to give them a rub from one of these older teams that they've been talking trash about. The Ascension, though, this is a case of WWE creative really screwing something up that was working just fine. Down in NXT, the Ascension was pretty good. They had a gimmick that worked. It was more of a Brood type gimmick, but toward the end, it was just they were 2 guys who came out that were just kind of these two badasses that just kicked ass and took names. So why not continue that on the main roster? Why do we have to get these guys in some weird-ass makeup? It's not even cool face paint. I mean, face paint can work. Face paint can be, what's the word I'm looking for? It can be intimidating. But not that crap they've got on the Ascension. Man, that stuff just looks awful. With that red triangle, wannabe misfit-looking hair thing. Ugh, just terrible. Anywho, they had something that was working. The people were into. They were going over. So why they couldn't just continue that on the main roster, I have no idea. Then again, this is also coming from the people who are supposedly about to give Adrian Neville a Mighty Mouse gimmick. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Next up, we have a tag team title match with the Usos defending against the Miz and Damien Mizdow. I suspect the Usos will go over, and the whole point of this match is to continue to bring tension between Miz and Mizdow. Or maybe even something like, if the Miz and Mizdow win, make sure that it's Mizdow that wins. When Miz tries to grab both the titles, have Mizdow freak out on him. But really, at the end of the day, Miz and Mizdow do not need to be picking up the belts. The Usos need to hold on to them, because at some point we're going to have an Usos Ascension feud. And the Usos just need to hold on to the titles, because they're a great tag team. And really right now the money with Miz and Mizdow is going to be Mizdow kicking Miz's ass, because that's what everyone wants to see. Because Miz is a tool and Mizdow is awesome. Just end of story. Okay, next up we've got Paige and Natalya tag teaming against the Bella Twins, Brie and Nikki. So this is kind of interesting. Paige and Natalya have been hanging out a lot lately. Apparently, this is a whole Total Divas thing, which I don't watch. Don't ever plan on watching. I've seen a few like clips from Paige segments. They are kind of funny, and I like Paige a lot. I think she's awesome, but not watching that show. Anyway, I think Paige and Natalya are probably going to win this. It would make sense. They're both feuding with the Bellas. It would be a fun win. I'm hoping they actually give these girls some time with this match, because I think it could be a good match. Nikki Bella has actually gotten pretty good lately in the ring. Paige is fantastic. Natty's not bad, even though I hate the way she does the sharpshooter. It looks terrible. She has the legs all backwards. Ugh. Anyway, but here's my real big question with this. Now that Paige is teaming with Natty, is she a face or is Natty a heel? I'm honestly confused, because Brie and Nikki have gone full-on heel mode. The Bella Twins are full-blown heels. And Paige has been a heel, but now she's hanging out with Natty. Natty's a face, but her husband is a heel. Will this bring her over to the heel side? Is Paige basically playing a tweener, which actually would be fine with me? Paige kind of has this whole attitude, just, I don't care about any of you, so I'm just doing my own thing. So maybe that's the best way for her to go. She's definitely not a straight-up babyface. They proved that with her first initial run, and her as either a tweener or a heel is definitely going to be better for her personality. All right, so that brings us to one of the two final matches that people are actually going to give a crap about. The WWE World Heavyweight Title Championship match. We've got Triple Threat Brock Lesnar defending against John Cena and Seth Rollins. I suspect Brock Lesnar is going to walk away with this one. There's so many different ways that this match could go down that I honestly have no clue what they're going to do. One theory I've heard was for Rollins to win to get the title, which would lead to a one last Cena Lesnar match at WrestleMania, with Rollins taking on the winner of the Rumble. That's not a terrible idea. In fact, I actually kind of like that idea a lot, because that idea came from Alex Levine of the Gaslight Anthem. He was on Wrestling Soup this week on Thursday. So credit where credit's due. Great idea. I really wish he was booking this, because that way you still get the star power of a Lesnar-Cena match. And without the title being involved, you can just have it a complete blowout of, we're just sick of each other, let's beat the utter piss out of each other. And gives the title to the new generation, the new blood. And you could have a Seth Rollins, Daniel Bryan match for WrestleMania. And then essentially you'd have basically three main events at WrestleMania. You could have Brock Lesnar versus John Cena. You could have Sting versus Triple H. And then Daniel Bryan versus Seth Rollins for the WWE title. I would put that one on last because that's the match of the future. These two guys are the future of this company. And it would be really nice to see that happen. That would be a great way to go. I have a sinking suspicion that John Cena is going to end up with the belt, though. I just pray that he doesn't. That's all I'm asking. Please, WWE, don't put the title on Cena. We don't need to see it again. We don't. So, yeah, that's kind of how that goes. I'm still not sure how that whole thing's going to go down. And the final thing of this event is the Royal Rumble itself, 30-man Battle Royal elimination match. I'm going with Daniel Bryan. That's who I think is going to win. That's who I want to win. I wouldn't be surprised if WWE had Roman Reigns win, though I don't think he should. He's just not there yet. In fact, I think it would be better to have him and, him in the match. Obviously he's going to be, but somehow he and Big Show eliminate each other, which leads to the match that has been advertised for Fastlane, which will be a last man standing Roman Reigns Big Show match. So that would make more sense. I think some of the surprise entrants, I think we will see the Dudley Boys show up, and that would set up for a feud with the Ascension. I think that would be a lot of fun. The Dudley Boys aren't in TNA anymore. They're not really doing much of anything. Let's give them one last run in the WWE. That would, they can both still go. So yeah. NXT entrant for the match. I think we're going to see Adrian Neville come out. And, I'm not sure how good of a match the Royal Rumble is for somebody like Adrian Neville. Adrian Neville is a technician almost like we've never seen before. The guy is just incredible in the ring, and if he's given space to fly around to do his thing, the place will go nuts. Just think about that match before the NXT Takeover Fatal 4-Way that they had on Raw, where it was him and Sami Zayn against Tyler Breeze and Tyson Kidd. And when Neville got in the ring and started doing his thing, the people went nuts. He started flipping around and he hit the red arrow. The place went apeshit. So if he's given the opportunity to do some of that stuff, I think it would be really, really good. It would be a good setup for him. You could also bring out a Baron Corbin or heck, maybe even a Bull Dempsey, but I don't think either of those guys are really ready yet. Any of the major, especially any of the NXT 5, Sami Zayn, Neville, Kevin Owens, Hideo Itami, Finn Balor, any of those guys, well, they're going to come out and they're going to make so much of the main roster look bad. But they've got storylines still going on in NXT, so I don't know. Well, we'll see. The Final Four, I'm thinking that the Final Four this year should end up being Dolph Ziggler, Rusev, Bray Wyatt, and Daniel Bryan. I think that would be a fun Final Four to have. And really, this match could go a lot of different ways. I'm sure that we're going to get some crazy Kofi Kingston spots, which I'm looking forward to. Those are always a lot of fun. Some other surprise entrants. But I hope that they don't just hand this whole thing to Roman Reigns. I hope that he's booked to look strong and to go through the match, take out a ton of people, but I don't think he's ready to win. Make him one of the last 8 people in there would be good. Also, I think Ambrose, Ziggler, and Wyatt really need to be booked to look very, very strong. Those guys need to come out of this match looking good. Ambrose, Ziggler, Wyatt, Reigns, those guys are the future with Daniel Bryan and Seth Rollins. And they need to come out of this match looking really, really strong. Because they all have main event written all over them, and that this match, they need to come out of this match as part of that main event tier. So that's what I'm hoping for, is that you will get these guys set up, and Ryback as well, get these guys really firmly entrenched in the main event. These guys need to be feuding with Randy Orton. They need to be feuding with, as much as we hate to see them still, the Big Show and Kane, because those guys are still main event level. And we need to start building a new main event level as Kane and Big Show retire. And, Orton's not going anywhere for any time in a long time, but we need to really establish a new main event level surrounded by guys like Ambrose, Ziggler, Wyatt, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Cena, Orton, as long as they're still around, Daniel Bryan. If they can convince Brock Lesnar to stay around, which I would actually love, a tweener Brock Lesnar that is actually here on a regular basis would be fantastic. He hits the ring, and it's such a brutal and epic mood that I think it would be really good for WWE to be able to hold on to him. But no matter what, at the end of the day, this is going to be a really fun match to watch, and it's definitely worth the WWE $9.99 network subscription cost, especially because you can get it for 1 month and cancel it and be done with it. Though, if you're not a subscriber of the WWE network right now and you're going to get it for tonight's Royal Rumble, hold on to that subscription so you can watch NXT TakeOver on February 11th, because it will be worth it for that. Speaking of, NXT this week was another good show. It's starting when we're starting to see set the stage for the next TakeOver event, which will be held on February 11th. An 8-man tournament has been set up to determine the new number one contender for the NXT Championship, and that was started this week. First match in that tournament was Finn Balor against Curtis Axel. Really good match with Balor going over. Finn Balor is phenomenal. The guy is just awesome, though admittedly I think he needs a different finishing move. That stomp off the top rope. I just don't know. Both he and Hideo Itami need new finishing moves. Well, Itami needs to just use the GTS, and hopefully we'll get there at some point. But yeah, really good match. Balor moves on. The other tournament match this week was Hideo Itami against Tyler Breeze. Excellent match. Another great match with Itami going over, setting up for a Finn Balor versus Hideo Itami match in round 2 of the tournament. That I am looking forward to. And I'm hoping that the way they work this tournament is they have the finals of the tournament at NXT TakeOver. That would be really good. So, but you might ask, well, what about an NXT title match? We'll get there. Next week, the tournament will continue with Bull Dempsey facing Corbin Barron in a rematch from last week, which that match was awesome. Baron Corbin just tore up Bull Dempsey. So the second one should be really good too, and I think we're going to finally get to see some more depth out of Baron Corbin, which we did get in that other match with him and Dempsey. But I'm going to go on a limb here. I'm thinking Corbin goes over, because Baron Corbin is really, he is, that guy's money. As long as he can work in the ring and he doesn't sound like a complete tool on the mic, that guy is absolute money. And then the other match will be Adrian Neville versus Tyson Kidd, which should be awesome. Adrian Neville and Tyson Kidd have had a series of just phenomenal matches, and both of these should be a lot of fun. So I'm really looking forward to this, and if I'm not mistaken, both of those matches are happening next week. Sami Zayn opened the show this week all hella pissed. He came to the ring, taking out Ty Dillinger, just beat the piss out of him, threw him out of the ring, calls out Kevin Owens, which brings out the general manager, William Regal, and long story short, Sami Zayn will face Kevin Owens in a non-title match at TakeOver. This is going to be awesome. For those of you who have never seen it, and I've seen a few on YouTube, but not as much as I'd like to, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, i.e. El Generico and Kevin Steen, have had a just have a long history together and have had a ton of great matches in Ring of Honor. So this should be just epic. I'm expecting great things. The other major angle coming out of this week's show was Charlotte will be defending the NXT Women's Championship in a fatal 4-way match at TakeOver against Sasha Banks, Bayley, and Becky Lynch. This is going to be awesome. This week there was a title match with Sasha Banks going up against Charlotte, challenging her for the NXT title. The match ended in disqualification when Becky Lynch got involved, which then brought out Bayley to save the day. And then Bayley's looking at the NXT title. Charlotte ripped it out of her hands. Bayley attacked Charlotte, giving her the belly to Bayley suplex, and that brought out William Regal, who set up the match. And I think this is great. It was awesome when he announced it. He said Charlotte will be having a match at TakeOver against Bayley, Becky Lynch. And when he said Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks starts freaking out. She starts screaming, and Becky Lynch. And then she was happy, and you can already see the seeds of dissension between Lynch and Banks. But Becky Lynch is great. She's been kind of relegated to sidekick for too long. It's going to be awesome. It's all 4 of these ladies are just fantastic, and really they make the whole Divas division on the main roster look bad, with the exception of Paige. So that's going to be great. Yeah. So I can't wait. NXT TakeOver for February is looking to be awesome. Next week's episode of NXT is looking to be awesome. Seriously, if you're a professional wrestling fan and you're not watching NXT, what the hell is wrong with you? And, yes, you could say it's for smart fans, but, in a way, I think that's kind of an insult to your casual fans, because casual fans that have watched NXT enjoy it. And that is something that WWE should realize. They should look at the fact that you can take a casual fan, plop them in front of NXT, they will enjoy it, give them a little bit of time to get to know the product and get to know the characters, and they will actually prefer it, generally speaking, to Raw and SmackDown. That's because it's a better made show, and it makes more sense. So hopefully WWE will, continue and pick up more elements from NXT. Otherwise, it's going to be harder for fans, casual fans and smart fans alike, to keep supporting the product. And if they want to grow the audience, which I know they do, the only way to do that is to make a product that your core audience loves, that your core audience loves so much that they tell all their friends, hey, you've got to check this out. This is awesome. And that's what happened in the Attitude Era. That's what happened during the Monday Night Wars. That's why wrestling took off so huge for so long. And that's not what's being done now. And it's really killing the business. But there are shows out there, NXT being one, Lucha Underground being another, that are really shows that are so enjoyable that get the smart fans excited enough to tell their non-wrestling fans or their casual friends, hey, you need to check this out. And really you do. The 2 things that every wrestling fan needs to be watching every single week are NXT and Lucha Underground, beyond a shadow of a doubt. I didn't really talk much about Lucha Underground this week. I'm having some computer issues, hence no show last week, and watching stuff online right now is a little bit of a challenge. So I kind of skimmed through this week's episode of Lucha Underground, but really didn't get a chance to truly absorb it, so that's why I'm not talking about it. What little bit I did watch of it, though, it was fantastic. Just seriously, if you're a wrestling fan that's listening to a podcast, you're probably already watching Lucha Underground. If you're not, watch it. Find the El Rey Network. If you don't have the El Rey Network, find it online somewhere, but you need to watch it. Lastly, before we head out this week, some kind of last minute news that just came up either late last night or this morning. Looks like Justin Gabriel has quit the WWE. He and Los Matadores were pulled from Royal Rumble advertisements this weekend, and it has since been announced that Gabriel has left the company. Some are also speculating that Los Matadores have been released, but nothing official has been announced. And you know what? Look, I'm not really a fan of the Matadors. I think they've been really terribly used. But WWE is desperate for tag teams, especially jobbing tag teams. So I can't see how releasing these guys is a good idea. And they were good in the ring, and they could make other people look good. And that's what a good kind of job tag team or job wrestler needs to do. He needs to make the opponent look good, and they did. So that was their goal. I mean, it was a joke when WWE tried to make them serious contenders for the title, because they never were. But I just hate to see them get canned, because who the hell else do the Usos have to face? Because at this point, we've seen them face damn near everyone, and it's getting a little old. Gabriel, though, is a shame, because he's a heck of a talent. And though I suspect he will be able to find he's going to find a good home either in Ring of Honor, Lucha Underground, New Japan, hell, maybe even TNA. Some have said he's heading over to Pro Wrestling Syndicate in New Jersey. Who knows? He's incredible in the ring. He's got a good look. He's going to have a future. He's going to do well in the independents. But no matter what happens, I do wish him and the Matadors the best of luck wherever they may end up. So, and you know what? That's going to do it for this week. Thanks as always for listening. You can find links to all of our episodes on our homepage with this awesomely long URL, aroundtheringok.wordpress.com. At some point, I'll get a shorter one, but for now, let's roll with it. So yeah, head over to aroundthering.wordpress.com. I'm sorry, scratch that. Try this again. Hey, I'm tired. Give me a break. aroundtheringok.wordpress.com. That's where you can find all links to episodes and whatnot. Don't forget to follow Around the Ring on Twitter at aroundtheringok, and make sure to give us a like on the old Facebook there at facebook.com/aroundtheringok. You can also send questions, comments, suggestions, hate mail, or whatever to aroundtheringok@gmail.com. Love to hear from you. Around the Ring is a proud member of the K98Talk.com and Spark Radio Network families. So, hey, that's it for now. Make sure to stay safe out there. Enjoy the Royal Rumble this weekend. And as Jerry Springer used to say, take care of yourselves and each other.
You've been listening to Around the Ring on the Spark Radio Network.
All you have to do is change your point of view. And believe.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. Damn! Woo!
This sucks more than anything that I've ever sucked before.
What? It's for charity.